Hi everyone, this is Rox4T, and in this tutorial I'll show you how I make a page of my digital webcomic. I don't think that there's one right way of going about it. Everyone finds the process that works best for them, and I myself keep changing from page to page, but I try to make a rough guide of the essential steps to making a page of a digital comic. Here are the 15 steps, which are writing the script, drawing the storyboards, drawing the panels, sketching, putting the speech balloons, inking, putting the shadows, drawing the background, drawing the shadows of the background, putting some special effects, filling the gaps, putting some flat color, putting some shadows and highlights to the color, coloring the background, and putting some gradation on the background. Let's take a closer look to these steps. Writing down the script. What does it mean? It means that you are writing the plot of your page. It doesn't have to be overly detailed, just a rough idea of what's going to happen in your page, but most importantly, the dialogue. It's a good idea to write down the dialogue immediately, possibly in a program that features spell check, because it means it will be a bit less likely to make typos, which are really annoying to fix. Here I wrote down the dialogue and I highlighted the cues for me of what was happening physically. This page I'm using as an example doesn't feature much action on a physical level because it's more of a dramatic monologue, we can say. But so the dialogue is really the most important part, and it's really important to write it as soon as you can, because if you change your mind while you're already drawing your page, you might have to make the speech bubbles bigger, which might result in you having to cover up part of your painstakingly drawn panels, which is really annoying. So write it down as soon as you can. Second step is doing the storyboard. What is a storyboard? Storyboard is a graphic organizer of your page, and it focuses on the panels themselves. So you can take a closer look at how your panels are going to look like at the end of your process. And it's really important. I used to overlook this part, and now I learned from my mistakes. Here you can see the storyboard and next to the finished page. It's really good to make your storyboard as accurate as you can, which doesn't mean at all that it's going to look pretty. It doesn't. Mine don't, at least. But the most important part is that it makes sense to you. So anything goes when you're making a storyboard. You can use colors, symbols, you can write words, you can use anything you want, as long as it's clear to you. Right, so that's it for the storyboard. Now we can move to the actual drawing process. Since we're talking about digital comic making, it becomes really essential which program you're using. I'm using Manga Studio, which is particularly good for comic making, and it has all the nice features that you need, such as tools for panel making, special effects like dynamic lines, here for example, and speech bubbles, everything really that you might need for your comic. So I really recommend it, and the beginner version is very cheap, fairly cheap as well. This is the page that I'm going to use as an example. Right, the first thing we want to do is draw our panels, which is fairly simple in itself, and it's important that you create one layer just for the panels, which is going to stay at the top of your layer stack, and you're not really going to modify it, but it comes really handy when you want to select the area you want to work on, that is your panel. So keep it nice and tidy at the top of your layer stack. Then we get to the writing down the text. Again, as this is a sort of inner monologue, I didn't have speech bubbles, so it's only the words with a nice little white outline which you can't see now, but like this, right? So and it's good to do it immediately, because this way you know which parts of your page is going to be covered by the text. Then we get to some real drawing, finally. Right, at this point, create as many layers as you feel you need for sketching. In this case, this page was fairly complex. It had some weird perspectives, so I made loads of them. Tuck, tuck. Okay, and these are the sketch layers. And then I created some more layers, which I called drawing, which are more detailed. Here, for example, I changed my mind from the beginning. Here I had my character looking down, and I thought it worked better if it was looking up. So this is the finished version of my sketch, is this thing here. Right, once we have our idea clear on our drawing, we can move to the next step, which is inking. So this is what the inking layer looks like without the drawing. As you might notice, I went beyond the edge of the panels, drawing this ugly little thing here. Why? Well, this is actually step 11, that is filling the gaps, and it means that I can easily select, if I was on the right layer, I can easily select the part I want to work on here, for example, like the face, or say the hand, and it comes really handy both for putting the shadows and later when we're going to add the color to our drawing. Right, since this page was fairly complex, I created several files so that my computer was not getting too slow while dealing with many layers and things like that. So now we've done the inking, we move to the shadows and coloring. Here the inking layer and the shadows. Looks a bit more like a page. At this point we have the pleasure of coloring. Okay, I can hide the shadows, the ink shadows, because it might look confusing. Right, now we put the flat color. I create a different layer for each and every color I used, so this making correction all the simpler. So I know that I always start by putting the color of the skin tone. So if I look at my layer stack, I know that C1 means the skin tones, and it's very good to come up with your own code in terms of layer naming, because chances are you'll end up with quite a few of layers, and it's nice to know that just by looking at the name of the layer you know what's going to be on that layer. Makes your life so much simpler. So first of all, I created all the layers and all the flat colors. Okay, Um, when it comes to coloring, which can be very boring, I hate to stay within the lines. If our ink layer is well done, it means we can just select the area that we want to color. So we can just, I'll show you how it works. Let's create another layer, see tutorial, and say we want to, I don't know, do the vest, which is C2. Let's make it pink as usual. And so we do, sorry, I'm using a mouse. It's even worse than usual. Okay, let's say, okay, something like this. And now we want to erase all these ugly things that go beyond the outline. Rather than selecting, okay, we go on the ink layer. Rather than selecting this area and invert the selection and erase, we should rather select all the rest like this, and there's an ear, and this one too, and erase it, because otherwise, I'll show you what happens. Ink, invert, and cut. Okay, it looks the same, but if you look closely, you can't see it here. There will be, chances are there might be, you see, a bit of white here and there. So I think it's better to do it this way. Anyway, we don't want it pink, we liked the other color best, this one. Okay, so this is how you color. It makes your life much quicker if you can create an ink layer with all the closed lines. But in case you like your lines nice and open, you can still duplicate the inking layer and ink double, let's say, and close the gaps that are still open, and then use it for coloring and then just erase it. Right, now we want to put some highlights and shadows to these flat colors. What we do is to create another layer which we're going to put right above the flat color layer. What I mean by this is that if you want to put some highlights to the skin, which is layer C1, we create another layer which we're going to call C1 shadows, where we put the nice shadows. They don't look nice here, but that's because it's meant to be looked like this, be seen like this, right? And so to create, to do nice shadows, my advice would be to select the color you used, this one, and then keeping the same color, just make it darker and use it to, you see, that's pretty much the same I actually used, and made the nice shadows that you want to create. And you repeat this process for all the other colors. Here, for example, I created 2 additional shadow layer because I used different techniques such as gradients, which is this option here. It looks like this, right? And so I wanted to create 2 of them, not to get messy. So that's it. That's how I do the coloring. And of course, while you're putting the shadows, you don't have to worry none about staying in the lines because I'll show you what you can do. Right, again, the vest. This is a flat color of the vest. Create another layer, C2, shadows, tutorial, to be clear. And so select the color, make it darker, for example, and dark, make it lighter. That's very light, much lighter. Very okay. So you see, I'm not in the lines, but no fear. I go on the flat color layer, select all the rest, go to my highlight and shadows layer, and cut. You see? So we have the highlight and the shadows, and we didn't have to go through the joy of manually erasing the thing. Okay. So here I've done all the coloring, and now that I'm happy with it, what I do is just merge all these layers. Well, first of all, save. Always save, keep saving, because if your computer crashes midways and you didn't save, you're really going to regret it and, you know, scream bloody murder. So save it and then merge all the layers, right? You can select them, tuck, 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 and merge colors. And right. Okay, so it's merged. You select everything, you copy, and you go to your other page file, which you have to open. This one. Right, so we put the colors merged layer here, the ink, and now we have also the shadows. So, and of course there's the text somewhere, but I usually keep it hidden while I'm working, but I know it's always there when I want to check how it looks like finished, pretty like much finished. So it's there. Now the joys of background. I hate drawing backgrounds. I really do. And I'm extremely lazy when it comes to that. So in this page I didn't have, as you can see, much of a real background, but here there's this gate / door that is going to be quite important in my comic. So I decided, being the lazy girl I am, to make one pretty as I could at least, drawing of this gate, and I did it in another page so that I could use it as much as I wanted later on. So it's just there, nice and finished here. Right. This one. Okay. Shadows, lots of shadows. Okay. So I created this image and then I selected it, copied it, and I pasted it here 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and it's not this one, background, this one. You see, it's always the same but zoomed in, so close up, and it's really important if you want to do this sort of trick to make it bigger than you're going to use it, because you can always make an image smaller but never bigger, because when you make it bigger it loses in terms of resolution and it looks ugly. So it's better to go from bigger to smaller than vice versa. So that's it. This is the background for me, and there's a bit more of background here, just little lines to pretend there's some perspective there, and then I put shadows to it again on another layer, because if you ever want to change something, much easier if it's on another layer. So here are some shadows to the background, and now we can go and color the background. I also used a beautiful texture I found on DeviantArt, which is this one, tuck, and I just pasted it and then erased the part I didn't need. But you can just go and put the color layer on top of your texture layer, so it will cover them anyway, and you don't have to go and erase it manually. Again, I'm very lazy, so I know all the tricks. So that's it. Now I put some colored shadows to the background colors here, and okay, so this is what it looks like for now. But also this is a feature that is contained in this pretty program, which are these tone material, these ones, this and this. Okay, and what are they? They look like this. You see, you have many images that you can just basically paste to the page and then erase the part you don't need. You see, they're really nice. They're perfect if you are as crap as I am at backgrounds, like these ones. You have like a forest, so you can just put it there and it's done. Awesome. So that's it. This page particularly, I had there was one detail which will go under the category of, let's say, special effects. Here I have a locket, and I wanted to have a portrait in here that looked like a sort of real portrait. So I used another really nice program I have, which is called Painter Light, this one, and I created on another file again this the portrait, which is this one. Do you see it? I don't. Oh yes, portrait. I made the sketch in Manga Studio, this one, and then I exported the file and worked on Color Painter Light and made this one. And then since it's nice to save it on another file, because I might end up using it again in my story, I'm not sure, maybe. So I have it here close at hand. So what I do then is just select everything, copy, and paste it here. And again, I made it smaller, much smaller. You can barely see it. If I think of all the pain I went through for making these, so it's here, and this counts as sort of special effects. But this program, as I was telling you, has really many cool features, such as dynamic lines. This one, you see, which are really dramatic. I didn't need them here, but this is the sort of special effect that you might want to add to your comic, and they can look really fancy. So that's it. We are really pretty much done. Then you add other things, like for my portrait, because here it's just really paste. It doesn't look like it's inside a locket. So I drew some shadows, put some highlights here, you can see, and we are almost there. Sorry, here's the text. And now I wanted my usual black outline, and I wanted my panels, the outline of my panels, to look white. So I just went to panels, which, if you hide everything else, eek, okay, look like this without the text and the thingy. So you just select the black, okay, the black, and you color to white, and then you color in black the rest. Okay, so this is it. Really, this is a finished page, and that's how that's what you have to go to make it. I really hope this can be of some use to someone, and thank you for watching.